3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're STG Weekly, doing a recap on Shmupmania. Yesterday we had Gus on, showing his runs for Mushihime-sama Futari, and then we also had Kiwi, who was showing his run in Mushihime-sama. So we're back at it, and we're featuring Moglar with his Ketsui run at Shmupmania. I'm joined by our hosts, Soft Drink.
Hey.
Aquas.
Hey.
And last but not least, our guest for this episode, Moglar.
Hey.
Welcome, Moglar. Anyways, well, I'm going to go hand it off to Soft Drink to take it away.
Sure. So for those who did not see the last couple episodes or have not been following the news, Cave Shmupmania was an event, collaboration between the kind of Western and Japanese shoot 'em up scenes, a kind of live streamed side-by-side score race type demonstration that took place last weekend as of this recording, so that'd be May 2nd and 3rd in Japan time, showcasing a whole bunch of cave games. So among those, as Fernandek already mentioned, we've previously done interviews for the Mushihime-sama and Mushihime-sama Futari runs, and now we're covering Ketsui. So Moglar was the Western player who was participating in a three-way Ketsui kind of score exhibition, and I believe the only one who cleared. Am I misremembering that?
Yep. Tetsu got pretty close, but
yeah,
came over right at the end.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about kind of your participation in the event and when and how you got invited and how you felt going into it.
So I saw the original post on Twitter of Hituji saying he was interested in holding an event, but I didn't really get involved super early because I didn't really know how to get involved. It was later on when Gus was like, why is no one interested in this event? It's going to be great. And then I was like, well, I'm interested, and I just don't know what's going on. Later, there was more information. He invited me on, and I said, yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. So you sort of like took the initiative in making that initial contact with that, and then you got invited formally on?
Yeah, pretty much.
Very
as far
cool.
as I remember, anyway.
And Gus is mentioning in chat that was it you who also invited PKE, or am I misreading that?
I think we both invited him. Me and Tessie, rather, both invited him.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, how much practice did you have before the event specifically? Like, were you already playing Ketsui pretty seriously at the time, or did you have to put some time into it just for this event?
Yeah, I was already playing it before the event got announced. But I did practice it a lot beforehand. I left Esprit until like 2 days before the event to practice it or something. Because Ketsui was like the big game for me. That's the one I'm really good at, so I wanted to make sure I did a good job there.
Right, definitely. How did you feel kind of as the event was starting? Were you pretty nervous, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think like as the run started, though, the nerves started to die down.
Well,
like my runs, rather.
That's good. I remember when I kind of interviewed you before the event, you were saying you were feeling pretty good about both of them.
Yeah.
So that's good. And you definitely met your goal, which was the 4 in a million at Mochi 2-all.
Yeah. I surpassed both of them by a pretty decent amount, so...
Yeah. Is there anything that you kind of want to talk about before we jump into the runs?
Maybe like game mechanics or like more about the event.
Sure. I'd like to ask him something. Hey Moglar, so how much in communication are you with the other Japanese shmup players that run Ketsui? Do you communicate with them?
Most of them I don't talk to too much, but most of them I have had some interactions with at least. PKE, he's pretty decent at English. Definitely more than good enough for me to talk to him. So I've talked to him quite a bit.
Oh
A lot
wow,
of other
that's
players,
really
not
great.
too much. But I mean, even like SPS and GAN, I have talked to like once or twice.
How do you feel? Do you mostly communicate with them by like posting your replay and they look at your replay and then they are inspired to best your score, or is it not that compressive a rivalry? I guess.
Well, it was kind of that way when I got my 511 million. PK was like, I'm gonna beat that on PS4 someday. He already has a better score than that, but it was done in an actual arcade. But usually we just talk in Discord. He's in Mark's server. We talk in the Katsui channel there a fair bit. Or in his streams. He streams on Twitch as well as me.
Oh wow, that's great. Now, when he beat your 511 million score, which we'll be showcasing this alongside your Shmupmania run, did you? How does that make you feel when they do best your score? Do you feel like I got to do it right away, or how do you? What kind of feelings and thoughts go through your head when you've done it? You've done it. You've obviously done it before, right? With your 511 score. How did you feel back then?
Well, so what happened was, so there's the PS4 leaderboards, right? PK has 498 on there, which I got like over half a year ago now, I think. It was me beating that score, and he was saying, "Oh, I'd like to beat your new 511 on PS4 eventually." The 519 he did was actually really recent. I think it was a bit before my 500. But that was on an arcade, like Mikado or something, I think.
Wow, that's great.
So, Plasma was mentioning in chat that you've actually found some new strategies for this game, and kind of shared those with the Japanese community as well. Has that been part of your communication with them, and like how is that?
Yeah, that was the one time that I mentioned that I talked to SPS. One of the strats, I shared it on Twitter. He saw it, and we talked a little bit about it. Also shared it with RS, who was the second best player of the game. And he seemed to be interested in the strategy. I don't know if he's like used it at all yet, though.
One more thing before we start playing your runs, Moglar. When you first started, how did you first get into shmups, and what really got you into score attacking Ketsui? Maybe this at home will, for other people that play shmups and they want to focus on a game like.
Well, I originally got into shmups, I guess, with Toho and like, I know everyone does, in early to mid 2017. I didn't play it too seriously though until I got into Cave STG, which happened because one Toho player that I just happened to be watching hosted Sadis, who was playing CCWI Unlimited, and I was like, what the hell is this shit? It just looked absurd, because obviously I didn't know like about the bullet canceling mechanics in it at the time, so I was just like, how is this even possible? So then I looked into that game, got into it. I played that game for a bit. I haven't played it much recently. What was I saying?
And then how did you find Ketsui?
Yeah, I guess I got into Cave in general after getting into CCWI, just probably searching on YouTube, and someone's channel probably had Cave videos on it. I just tried arcade shmups out. I think Pazzy's 515 mil was one of the runs that was like the most impressive to me. I just thought it was incredible. So it might have been part of it, but I also just like playing the game. It was just more fun to me than the rest of the games, I guess. Mainly the scoring. It was it felt like pretty easy to get into at a basic level, which is good. And it was just super fun from the get-go. Like, I think with a lot of other Cave games, you have to put like, at least a little bit more effort in to start really enjoying it. Like with Especluda, for example, which I didn't love at first, but then I learned the first two stages, and I was like, wow, this game's actually amazing when you have roads down. Maybe I'm going off topic a bit, whatever.
No, I mean, any kind of stuff like this, like anything you want to do in the intro like this is totally fine. Yeah, I think it's interesting to us and to the audience to kind of have a little bit of information about the player as well. So
I think it was like late 2017 when I started playing Ketsui a little bit, and then I originally got my my first 1-0 in March 2018. And then for the next like half year or so, I didn't play it too much. But late 2018 is when I just like pretty much stopped playing everything else and played Ketsui until now.
How long do you
what
think
spawned that moment to focus only on Ketsui?
I'm not sure. It's been a while. I don't remember. Maybe I just enjoyed it more than the rest of the games back then.
Oh, okay.
And if you had to give an estimate, like how long do you think it took you to get a 2-all, and how long did it take you to get like an Omote 2-all versus an Ura 2-all, that kind of thing?
Well, Omote 2-all, I think that happened around a year after my first 1-all. Probably around March 2019. Yeah. And then my first Ura 2-all didn't happen until December of that year, so like 9 months later or something.
Wow, okay.
Ura 2-all is like, I mean, I doubled my playtime from my first Omote 2-all to my first Ura 2-all. It's way harder, they're not even comparable.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Also, they mentioned, the chat's mentioning my speedrunning. I think speedrunning was part of the reason why I was more interested in scoring compared to just like pure survival play. Because there's like a bit more similarity there, I guess, with like optimization and whatnot, raising the numbers or lowering the numbers in speedrunning.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know you were a speedrunner before. That's really cool.
Yeah, I was for like 3 years or so, maybe before. 2 to 3 years.
Oh, Gus is actually saying you've held world records. Awesome.
Yeah, I have.
Well, congratulations.
Most of the world records were very early on, but I guess the Hollow Knight one was a decent bit into the lifespan of the game. But...
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that either. Good shit, man.
Thanks. I haven't really done much speedrunning since I started getting really serious into shmups. It's been like over 2 years since I've taken speedrunning seriously. But there's a lot of similarity between the two, so...
Yeah, I think there's a lot more overlap than a lot of people give it credit for.
Yeah, especially with scoring. Maybe not quite as much with survival play, but...
Yeah, I mean, if there's nothing else, either from you or from the chat to talk about before the run, then I think we should maybe introduce the mechanics a little bit in brief, because we do already have an episode on Ketsui that probably goes into more detail. Yeah, I mean, are there any other questions or anything you'd like to say before we start diving into that?
No, not really.
Cool. Yeah, so Ketsui, in a lot of ways, it's one of Cave's more straightforward games in terms of like mechanically how the system operates. The basic idea is that there is a counter that increases for like the total number of these chips that you've collected over the course of a stage. And then there's a smaller counter, which is a direct multiplier that's applied to the value of enemies that you're killing. And to increase that counter, you gather these chips, and the value of the chips that you get is based on your vertical proximity to an enemy. So when you're very close, you get a 5 chip, and when you're very far, you get a 1 chip, and if you're somewhere in between, you get a value somewhere in between. Once you collect a chip that is greater than your current value, it will start a short timer. I think it starts at 60 and ticks down about once a frame, but it's not totally consistent from what I understand. And you can extend it a little bit by collecting more chips of the same type. So if you lock onto an enemy and start a chain with 5 chips, then all the subsequent enemies that you kill in that chain will drop 5 chips, and it'll extend your chain by a little bit, but eventually it'll still run down. And there's a few advanced tricks that you can get by sort of manipulating how that system works, like the empty locking, which you could probably give a better explanation for than I can.
Yeah. So for empty locking, basically how it works is there's two types of chips in this game, both shot chips and lock chips. When you collect them, they just both get multiplier. There's no difference there. But for shot chips, it's just for shot killing an enemy, obviously, and for lock chips, it's lock killing an enemy. Shot chips, you basically always only get one chip for each enemy.
Right.
But for lock chips, you can get a bunch of chips depending on the enemy. But to get lock chips, it's not that you have to actually lock kill an enemy. It's that you have to be in lock shot.
Right.
So you switch to lock shot as an enemy is about to die, and you can get a bunch of 5s from them. There's multiple reasons why this is good. First of all, you don't have to spend multiplier on that enemy while getting all the 5s. This can be very useful for building the multiplier, and it's good to do that if the enemy you're empty locking has a low value.
Right, and to elaborate on that point a little bit more, normally when you kill an enemy with the lock shot, it kind of consumes some of your multiplier in order to...
I don't think we went over that, did we?
We didn't really discuss that yet. No. So the smaller counter is sort of your current multiplier value. That's usually 3-digit number, whereas the total counter often goes up into 4 digits. And that current multiplier value is sort of consumed when you cash it out by locking onto targets.
Yeah.
Or I guess killing enemies while in lock was maybe a more specific way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other reason why empty locking big enemies can be good is that you don't have to chain into them for that. You can start the chain with empty lock.
Right.
Which can be very useful in some places as well. There's also Zako E-locking, which is a lot more complicated, but how that works is basically, how I said there's both shot chips and lock chips for enemies, right? Well, the same goes for Zako, but normally you'd only get one chip either way. But if you switch to lock as you kill it with shot, you'll get both that one lock chip and that one shot chip at the same time.
Right.
And you can also just ignore proximity by doing E-locking, but that's a bit less useful.
I mean, it's useful in specific situations, like if you have a larger target that's continuously exploding, and then you lock onto, you start a chain further away, switch to lock, then you can get a lot of chips out of that, like the ending of Vinogradov.
Yeah, I think it's mainly useful. The ignoring proximity aspect of it is mainly useful for far away Zako, but it's pretty situational.
And then just a little bit of an overview of the loop differences, maybe. So there's two different second loops in Ketsui. There's an Omote loop, which is sort of like the normal, easier to reach second loop, and there's also an Ura loop, which is like a hidden secret second loop. And the unlock conditions for both of them are actually pretty strict. But Ura is famously strict. So to get the Ura loop, you have to no miss, no bomb the entire first loop, which is extremely difficult to do. And the Omote loop is comparatively much easier, but it still requires a total, a sum of your deaths plus bombs has to be less than 6, right? Or is it less than or equal to 6?
Less than or equal to 6.
Okay.
For Omote.
So obviously in the Shmupmania run, you did not qualify for Ura because you died a couple times. But I mean, that's totally understandable in a marathon setting. The Ura requirements are absolutely absurd.
I wasn't really planning on getting to Ura. I was just like, well, if it happens, that'd be absolutely amazing, but I'm not going to go for it. Like you see in both of my credits, I have stage 3 deaths, but then I just continue because it didn't feel worth it to me to reset that far in.
Yeah,
over just one death.
I was just sort of trying to contextualize it for the audience that actually what we're going to be showing here is 2 side-by-side runs that actually end up in different loops. So the Shmupmania run will be in the Omote loop, and the other, your personal best run, is 511 million Ura to all. So that'll be showing you Ura loop.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything else that we need to go over right now. I don't know. Does anything else come to mind?
Maybe like general multiplier management. Like usually in stages in this game, the mid bosses always have like very high value, and the enemies in the later half of the stage generally also have higher value.
Right. So you want to crank
usually, yeah, you want to like build up multiplier a lot in the first half of the stage, then use it on the mid boss and second half of the stage generally. So you'll still lock kill things in the first half of the stage, obviously, but not nearly as much.
Yeah, and then you want to have the overall chip counter as high as you can before the boss, so that you have a high value both for the boss fight and for the end of stage bonus when that kind of total counter is actually applied based on your total number of lives and bombs in stock as well.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I think that's about it.
Yep.
Aquas, are we ready to launch into the replays?
I think so. Yeah, it was a decent little
Alright.
primer on Ketsui, I would say. It's not super complicated, you know, but yeah. That was good. That was some good explanations, I would say. Okay, let's see here. I'll need a moment. Okay, I'm about ready. So, suppose I'll count us down and we can just we can get both these replays going. Shmupmania run on the left, and then we'll have moglar's PB on the right. And I guess we'll kind of we'll comment on the contrast of those two as we go along.
Yeah, it'll mostly be an omote, or with two rather, not just omote.
Cool. All right. I'll count us down. It'll be on go from 3, 2, 1, go. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
So in the first half, like I said, building up multiplier a lot for the mid boss and second half of the stage. You can see me lock killing some tanks here because tanks actually give 2 chips for lock killing. You get one from their turret and one from the main body. And then after here, we just empty lock everything.
Yeah, the empty lock on the big planes and kind of turret parts here is pretty famous. The stage 1 strategy.
Yeah. Pretty much everyone e-locks those guys, but I still have trouble with it sometimes even.
Is this the Zako e-lock here right before the mid-boss?
Yeah, lots of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then here your multiplier is already at like 880, 890 before the mid-boss, which is great.
900 or anything over that is very, very good. But you can get like upper 900 even if you do extremely well. Now it's the second half of stage. Still going to be preserving the multiplier in some cases, but we're going to be using it a lot more now. And all these tanks. Usually you still want to empty lock air Zako because they only give 1 chip either way. And you can get an extra chip obviously if you empty lock, so.
Right. And then they're kind of delaying the kill on some of those Zako and tanks, so you can get them through the helicopters with the chain counter.
Not just lock killing everything.
Yeah, trying to catch in as much as you can.
Right at the end of the stage, exactly. Just lock kill everything. Like, it's so late in the stage that there's no reason to not lock kill. It's just a waste to score.
And then here's setting up for the milk on the boss.
I do 3 rounds of milking here on these missiles. You can do 4, but it's extremely difficult and only gives like 200,000 points. Game would turn into reset hell for me for a bit if I added it, so I haven't done that yet. Don't know when I will.
So to explain a little bit how this works, the boss will periodically shoot out these clusters of missiles that will then shoot bullets at you, and if you destroy a boss sub-component right before those missiles explode, and then you switch to lock, they will actually generate chips. So what he was doing there was kind of timing how he was destroying each of the little subsections of the boss right before the boss was going to shoot a missile barrage, and then cashing in for 5 chips by switching to lock.
Yeah. There are 2 enemies in this stage that will drop a bunch of chips as they're dying, and you want to hold on to lock for a very long time because of that. There's going to be some big choppers like that, and then some big turrets. I'll mention them when they come up.
Yeah, especially in stage 2, there's a lot of like you have to hold the lockdown. Yeah,
you need to hold the lock. You'll see all those chips coming out as they die.
Yeah,
you won't get those if you just let go instantly.
Yeah,
same with these big turrets right here.
Yeah,
this part right here. This part right here is extremely complicated to do multiplier management well in. Probably the most complicated in the game, really. Just to routing around, trying to not lock kill all those tanks is just kind of crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
So here we wait a while so we can, because the background here loops, and the loop determines how much of a Zaka rush you get. And you're gonna see how big of a difference it can be. A perfect Zaka rush versus a terrible one. As you can see in the 500 mil, I get absolutely nothing because I messed it up. I lost like several million because of that. It's one of the worst mistakes in the run, if not the worst. Usually you get like an in-between of those two, like maybe around 50% of it, if you just kill it normally.
Yeah, so the key there is to time the kill on that mid-boss at a certain point where the background is looping around, so you're at the start of that background loop, and then it'll fill the remaining space of background that would have looped with bonus enemies.
Plasmo, I probably lost like 7 million or something from that. It was really bad. But if you mean the normal mid-boss kill, usually you'd maybe lose like 1 or 2 million. It depends. Part of the reason why I lost so much score, though, was because I can't get the second score extend before the end of this boss now, which gives an extra like 2 mil or so.
Yeah,
on top of the few mil I lost earlier.
Yeah.
On this boss, I go up here. This is pretty safe. The bullets aim around you. The reason to do that is to keep this one tread alive for phase 2. You're going to see why I do that in a bit. 3.5k multiplier, yeah, it's not very good.
Yeah, the difference in counters is huge. Like the
usually
around here, like 4.3.
I very consistently get over 4,000. So I kill it there. You get 5 chips from the explosion if you are holding lock with a chain going there. So that's the whole reason why I keep that alive. It gives like 200k around.
Right, and then you also kill the other tread for the grenade there.
Yeah. Yeah, I killed the tread for the grenade so I could get 5s from the explosions of the grenade.
Yeah.
It's pretty swag if you ask me.
We're going to see 51 million versus 58 million.
Yeah, that's a pretty
big difference. It's about as bad as a death, really, at least in short term. Maybe even worse than a death for short term. In long term, a death would be a bit worse, though.
Well, I mean, long term, a death wouldn't have got you to Ura, so there's that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that as well. But let's pretend we're only thinking about Omote here or something.
Right.
So these guys, those big boats, the first form gives a very small amount of score, so always try to elock that. Here, I'm going to try to get right up in there. There's a safe spot that I'm sitting in right there where the bullets will go behind you. This is so I can kill it quickly and get an extra enemy. Usually you only get one of those 2 extra enemies, but I got both of them here.
Yeah, and the movement around these big gliders, the enemy name is a golden bat, which is kind of fun reference to Garaga, I think. But the patterns that they shoot can actually really clog up the screen, especially in the later part of the stage.
Yeah.
Quite dangerous.
I got up to 999 here pretty early before the mid-boss, so I'll cash out on a lot of enemies here. You want to be at around 850 before the mid-boss, because you get some Zaka rushes right before it. You really want to have a good multiplier entering this boss, because overall it gives like 10 million or so, and the second half of the stage also has very high value enemies.
Yeah, Vinograda was worth a lot.
Very, very important to get a good multiplier here. I want to kill it as quickly as possible to get extra enemies afterwards. That's why I do this thing at the end on the 500 mil. It's a try to get a 6th one, but it usually doesn't happen. On the Shmupmania one, I do a bit of a safer strat, which does also get 5, but they can't get the 6th one. It's impossible. I don't think I was very nervous for either plasma. Well, I was nervous when I got to Doom in the 500 mil. But that was about it. I wasn't so nervous before that because after 2-3 in my 500 mil, it was like basically impossible, not PB, so I wasn't nervous until Doom because of that, which kind of really helped me play better in that run. Here, there's this strat where you go around. It's actually not that hard. I consider it to be maybe easier than the normal strat. And you get a couple extra Zako kills. The only real threat there is to make sure you to make sure the Zako don't point blank you, pretty much. That could happen, and it's bad.
So when you had that death in your Shmupmania run, like how were you feeling?
I was like, I wasn't happy about it for sure, but I was like, all right, as long as I can not die much more in move 1, I'll be fine with it.
Well, it's such an easy place to take a hit too. Like even if you practice that stage a lot, it's really, really easy to make a tiny mistake there.
Here I'm trying to shot kill the parts of this boss to have a bigger end bonus for the stage. That part right there, it's actually, the timing's really tight. You want to kill it before the blue lines attack, because if you don't kill it before the blue lines attack, it will fire 3 blue lines instead of 4, and then you'll get the blue walls super early before you can kill it, and you'll probably have to lock kill the phase. I think that actually happened in the Shmupmania run, but I wasn't looking. That's a good demonstration of it, I guess. Yeah, we'll see that the Shmupmania run is actually higher scoring now, even though I had a death. Actually, is it? No, it's a little lower, but it's about the same.
Yeah, it's very close.
I agree, Jamers. 1-3 does feel harder than 1-4 to me sometimes. First half of this stage, again, building up multiplier, yada yada. Here it's especially important to build up the multiplier, not just because of the mid boss here, but the second half of this stage has a bunch of very, very high value enemies. So you need to make sure to have a good multiplier for that.
And the first half, it's really interesting to look at movement here because like you have to be super aggressive or you'll just get walled up and die right away.
You need to be aggressive, really aggressive to get all these good E-locks and stuff. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's a very fun stage.
Very aggressive, action-packed. 761, 1503. That's good. Really good, but could be better. It'll be a bit lower in Shmupmania one.
1468, 740. Like, that's really not that different.
Yeah, I'm setting up for an E-lock here. We E-lock it on this pattern because it's safe there, and you want this blue pattern to come right after the E-lock.
Right.
Because you'll get some 5 chips from the missiles.
Okay. I didn't know about that. That's cool.
Kind of minor, but you'll get like 20 or so extra. Now, the strat that I do here I actually dropped because I'm not very consistent at it right now. I'll probably add it back eventually. The goal of that is to get a 5 chip before killing the Nightmare, because you'll get like 40 more multiplier or something from the kill from that.
Right.
Compared to on the Shmupmanias, you'll see right now I kill it, or I try to lock kill it and then E-lock, but then I just fucked it up.
Yeah, that Nightmare point blank seems really scary. How precise is that positioning?
It's maybe easier than you'd think, honestly. It's pretty consistent.
Okay.
The main hard part is everything after that, in my opinion.
Then the final descent part here. These last couple nightmare cutbacks can be really scary.
The strat that I'm doing right here, I didn't do in the Shmupmania run, not because I dropped it, but because it's a newer strat that I added and I'm not too consistent with it. The goal is to get a chip before killing the nightmare for extra multiplier. Also, Gus, I'd probably say the Commentate world record is more optimized just because no miss Ura is ridiculously hard and hasn't been done by any of the world record tier players yet. But both are pretty improvable. Obviously extremely difficult though.
So Cinderella gives a lot of players, that's the name of this boss, by the way.
Yep.
It gives a lot of players trouble. How, do you feel pretty consistent with this boss, or are there still parts that can trip you up in the first loop?
This one attack right here is extremely random. That can sometimes get me. But I'd say I'm pretty consistent at it, but I do think this boss is around as hard as the stage 5 boss even. It's very difficult for a stage 4 boss. Some people consider it harder than stage 4 boss or 5 boss even. And I'm not. I think they're about the same to me.
There's some interesting kind of RNG stuff that can happen with Cinderella, where some of her attacks can kind of come out of phase, and that makes it really hard to deal with if you're not practiced with it.
Yeah. Yes. Optimally, you want to empty lock phase 1 jammers, but it doesn't really matter that much. If you just go for shot kill versus a lock kill on phase 1, it's basically equal. You can just get a very slight amount of more score if you empty lock. Phase 2, always lock kill.
So here there's a bit more of a difference in score. You're at 154 versus 147, so you start to see the ramifications of the death a bit more. Because again, that's the cumulative end of stage bonuses that are also playing a
partially.
role.
I also just had a very, very good stage 5 in this 500 mil run, though. It's the best I've ever done in the run.
The big golden bat ER here, man, this guy has ended so many runs for me.
That big golden bat, I'm pretty sure I haven't changed my route for that since my first 1-all. It might be like the oldest thing that I haven't changed yet. You want to do a decent bit of lock killing in the first half of the stage, because you can get well over 1,000 multiplier before this mid boss here. You can even get 3,000, but I think that's only been done a single time.
Wow.
And it was exactly 3,000. Now it's one more multiplier than 3,000.
Yeah, stage 5 really just throws everything at you.
It's very difficult. I'd say stage 5 is like 50% of the difficulty of any Getsu. It's very, very, very hard, and it's very long.
So I remember someone getting the helicopter just fly off during their run at Shmupmania. You?
Right. No, that was PKE.
Okay, yeah.
I want to keep that guy alive for a while so I can chain into the first part of that mid boss.
Okay.
You wouldn't think you get like 15 or 20 multiplier thing from that, which you'd think is really small, but this mid boss has the highest values of anything in the game. So just on this mid boss, you get like 100k, and then from Evacueer plus the end bonus, you'll get another 100k. So it's actually pretty big.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and for those clones, the first one has like around a 1 in 100 chance of flying away, I believe, and then the Panzer clone's like 1 in 1,000, I think, something like that. I don't know the actual odds, but that's what it feels like to me. Again, there's another Zaka rush after this mid boss, so I usually stop shooting a bit after phase 1, so I don't, miss the entire thing. I think I often like miss out on like 20% or 10% of the soccer rush, which is pretty bad, but it's not nearly as bad as missing the entire thing, so I don't really mind too much yet.
Yeah. Well, and you use the traditional like high-end strategy for Trafalgar, where you take off the kind of the top turret and then the center body a little bit, and then the side turret. And that's not super important in the first loop, but in the second loop, it's absolutely critical for some of those patterns.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's really even high-end. It's like, I don't think it's that difficult to kill the boss parts, and it gives a ton of score, so just do it. if you care about your score, at least. So on this nightmare, I'm going to be doing different things in both these runs. Firstly, in the 500 mil, I'm going to be no miss no bomb, speed killing it for 2 extra enemies. And then if you look over to the Shmupmania one, I am going to score bomb it. I'm going to try to empty lock, and I'll get an extra set of enemies here. That actually gives a ton of score. It can give like 3 to 4 million, I think, if you get both the empty lock and the extra enemies. Obviously, you can't do it Ura though, so a lot of people don't know about it.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that until someone mentioned it during the commentary for your run.
I did it very well there, so I'm happy with that. For these tiger clones, you want to speed kill them so you can point blank the Zaka Rush afterwards.
Yeah.
Point blanking the Zaka Rush isn't that bad, but it's actually more so that you have to kill the tigers so aggressively that makes this really a difficult strategy, in my opinion.
Right. If you're off timing with that, it kind of doesn't work at all.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll just be dicks and take forever to die, which can really screw you over. I wait until this enemy is red. If it's red, I just go for the E-lock. It's almost always safe at that point. It's a very good utility for that. And you get a little over 7,000 multiplier here, which is pretty good. Well, it's really good, but for me, it's just pretty good, I'd say. In the Shmupmania run, even though I did the score bomb with the empty lock, I only get like 6.9 or something. I played really poorly in this stage in the Shmupmania run, outside of not dying. I guess I was just scared of dying and wanted to make sure that didn't happen.
So you say that's pretty poorly. Like, what's your record for stage count in 1.5?
It's 7.4K, but that's without that score bomb, which can give like 300 extra probably.
Just
maybe
from the
400.
one? Wow, that is very lucrative. Actually.
Yeah, it's extremely lucrative. I don't have too much to say about Vacanir, so maybe I should start talking about U2.
Sure.
And I'm going to tell you want to stay away from enemies as much as possible.
Right, so
to build multiplier.
In the loop, all the enemies will fire revenge bullets after they're dead. And those revenge bullets, like the value of those revenge bullets is set based on the loop difficulty. So in Omote, they're all the equivalent of 1 chip, and in Ura, they're all the equivalent of 5 chips. But you know,
in Ura, there's just more of them.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
They're both 1 for each.
And then if you seal them, in Omote, they give you nothing. But in Ura, they still give you, like, their value is still added to your counter. So in Omote, you want to be as far away from enemies when you're killing them as possible so that they spawn as many of those kind of chip equivalent revenge bullets as you can get.
Also, you want to try to kill enemies as quickly as possible because that will give more multiplier. And kill them when they're fully on screen, because if they're partially off screen, you won't get, it'll despawn or just not spawn the bullets and you won't get the multiplier from them. You'll see me here on the Ura one, I kind of try to wait a little bit for those tanks to go on screen.
So do you get more of the revenge bullets from killing with lock than with shot, or does it not matter?
Yeah, you do. You get more from lock, but it's more important to, manage multiplier correctly than to just lock kill everything for extra overall.
Right, of course.
In Ura, there's also doubled end of stage bonuses, which give an absolutely huge amount of score. In Ura, the multiplier count will be a lot more consistent. You won't really see huge differences in them, but like even really small difference, or what looks like really small differences in them, can give a really big amount of score. Like from 2-3 onwards, if you get 10 extra multiplier overall, you're probably going to get an extra 100,000. It's pretty crazy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
Also, one big thing that probably not many people know about is that in Ura, you lose twice as much multiplier from lock kills compared to Omote in Loop 1. So you're gonna see me lock killing different enemies in Ura compared to Omote. Bomb there. That part at the end was really difficult. I don't know, Plasma. I don't know the answer to that question.
And then the path of the revenge bullets is slightly randomized, right? So you kind of have to reactively dodge them.
Yeah. And so the revenge bullets in Ura compared to Omote, they're harder in pretty much every way you can think of. They're much faster in Ura. There's much more of them in Ura. The ceiling range is much smaller in Ura, and the width of like the bullet waves in Ura is also a lot wider, and that coupled with the speed gives you a lot less room to tap dodge and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Stage 2 too, especially in Ura, is well, mainly in Ura, is an incredibly scary stage because well, first of all, it's very difficult for stage 2, and secondly, you have so many bombs at this point that dying is just awful. So if you're like kind of newer to doing Ura credits, I guess, in full runs, you're probably going to be bombing a lot here. And you're going to see me bombing a lot here in this run, unfortunately. But, oh well.
Well, the other thing is, like, the way the stage is constructed, you often have revenge bullets that are coming at you from, like, multiple parts of the screen at once while you need to cut back, and that can be really, really challenging to do.
Yeah. We're doing the stalling here again. So it's a lot harder in Loop 2, but it's still worth it. The second half of the stage, in Ura especially, is just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be bombing a lot. Luckily, there's a part right at the end. Maybe I shouldn't have started talking about this so early, but I learned a safe strat from SPS. It looks kind of scary, but it stopped being scary to me very quickly when I realized that it's incredibly difficult to fail this. It was that right there with those choppers. This part, however, is still difficulty to no miss, no bomb, regardless. But I'll already have no bombs left. And I entered the stage with about 5.
Yeah.
Crazy stage. And it's incredibly scary after no miss, no bombing Loop 1 and having so many bombs in stock for this stage. Not wanting to die early on in the loop. I lock onto this first one. I lock onto these separately because this route's a bit easier than just locking onto the main body.
Yeah, all the bosses are much scarier in the loop.
Mm-hmm, yeah. These, this pattern right here, you can just go under because the bullet speed in Ura is so fast, and they have a little homing. They home a bit in Loop 2, so you can just go straight under them, and it's easier than, or almost rather.
Oh,
this pattern, you want to, for the grenades, you want to move to the side of the screen that's the opposite of where the grenade is going, because they explode when they hit the side of the screen. So you want to push the side of the screen closer to them, which will give you more room, or more time, I guess, to dodge it.
It's pretty cool. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I know, right, Jammers? Also in Ura, another thing is all the bullets compared to Omote are faster.
Yeah.
So that makes bosses harder in this loop, even though there's not really any like pattern differences outside of bullet speed. Can't really think of too much to say about this section, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just still impressive how dense it is and scary it gets in the loop here.
Yeah, I obviously am staying further away here in Omote because I want to build up the multiplier more. That makes for some pretty scary dodges, like right at the beginning of the stage. But it's not scary enough. This stage this part right here is very, very hard in Loop 2 because just the way that the enemies are arranged here causes for some very difficult patterns with the revenge bullets.
And Gus, I think it also affects the spread of the revenge bullets. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Moglar.
No, Gus, I was saying that even like non-revenge bullets in Ura are just faster than Omote. Make sure to practice this mid-boss a lot because you need to extend and it's hard. And if you die early on in it, you're probably going to die twice. Again, trying to kill it quickly. That's why I cut back pretty quickly after reaching that big boat there.
Yeah. Well, it's nice not having to worry about trying to like time the chip off.
I got caught and had to go like all the way to the left in the Omote one, so I get 2 less extra ships here, which is pretty bad, unfortunately. But here I'm going to be lock killing both of these boats in Omote, but I shot killed them both in Ura. That's just the difference due to the, Ura having doubled multiplier decrease. Want to stay up in the corner here to seal the bullets so I can stream over a lot slower. Mm-hmm. And lock once you get to around the middle. That's where it'll be the easiest to get your locks onto the golden bat. Yeah, I did very good in this stage in both runs. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Oh, it's actually kind of hard to get your shots to hit that golden bat at the end of stage 3. Like the boats and such on the ground, they tend to interfere with your lock-ons a little bit.
We didn't really talk about how the lock shot worked very much, but you want to be closer to the enemies to lock onto them quicker. If you're really far away, they'll sometimes take a really long time to lock on. This boss is very hard in Loop 2, especially with Panzer, or with Tiger rather. It's easier with Panzer in Phase 2 because those blue wall attacks especially can be very dangerous to Tiger. I shot killed all the phases here because, again, for the end bonus, very, very, very important in Ura to shot kill bosses because the end bonus is just so massive. The stages in Ura or Omote before the boss is actually a score higher compared to Ura just because of the lower decrease in multiplier. Cool, interesting fun fact, I guess. But then the doubled in bonus is more than make up for it.
Right, yeah.
And another thing with multiplier decrease here. In the first half of this stage, you want to lock kill as much as you can of these wyverns in Omote. But in Ura, you don't really want to lock kill any of them. Here on the Omote one, I go up on the side here. I actually find that easier than going to the bottom. It looks kind of scary, but safer. And then the second one I lock kill. I could lock kill both of them, which would score higher, but I find that to be extremely difficult. It's just not worth it yet. Also, like I mentioned earlier, at this point in my 500 mil, I wasn't really nervous at all because after no missing the 2-4, it was pretty much guaranteed that it'd PB. And my PB before this 511, it was 457, so it was pretty big increase.
Yeah, wow.
Damn.
It's kind of ridiculous. That the nerves, or the lack thereof, due to having a free PB by this point, really helped me play well in the last 2 stages, I think. I was just able to play cleanly and confidently without really worrying too much, until Doom at least. Then I worried because I was like, oh shit, this can 500 pretty easily. On this boss, we're waiting around to kill it during this attack, because during this attack, if you transition during that attack, it thinks the attack is continuing during the transition, and you only have to dodge very small parts of that ever, instead of having to dodge a full wave of it, which is really long and really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Do that in both loops. And you also get a bit of extra multiplier there because, the missiles give multiplier. They're doing that stalling strat.
Yeah, the multiplier increase from Blackdraft in the second loop is pretty significant. Like, you went from, like 400 up to 900?
If you wanted to be really ballsy, you could almost time out the boss and dodge, like, the entire of that last wave, which it actually gives around 1 million in Ura, I think, but it's just like, do you really want to do that? No one does it yet. Maybe someday. It's a big score even, so it's just really risky. Oh yeah, during those Roombas, normally because the screen is moving left, all the bullets get pushed to the right. So the aimed bullets in Loop 1 and the Omote bullets, you don't really have to tap to the left at all to avoid those. But in Ura, the Ura bullets, you do have to tap to the left to avoid them, so it's a lot more strict here. I talked about that section a bit late, but oh well. These nightmares are very nightmarish.
Yeah, in the second loop, it's so tight.
This last one especially, you have to dodge these for a while. It can be very scary. Cinderella in Loop 2, oh boy. Cinderella in Ura specifically is, I'd say it's the hardest boss in the game besides Doom. Like, the faster and denser patterns here are just ridiculous. Like, the extra speed in Ura makes this boss way harder as well.
Yeah, especially on like the chevron pattern there. That thing is.
And the final pattern is like, it's super silly in Ura because the bullet speed, I'll explain it when we get to it, I guess. This pattern right here in Ura, this is like probably the scariest pattern in the game to me. You just have to be like so close to it, and it's so tight that I never know if like I'm actually gonna dodge it or not, if I'm going into the right place. It's very scary. So the final pattern, I'm actually going to go, I'm actually going to move to the right in Ura, or in Omote, because it's actually kind of dodgeable here, and I find it easier to dodge if I move to the right. But it's safer for the planned bomb strategy if you move to the left at the start.
Interesting, okay.
Also, the reason why this pattern is like completely absurd in Ura is because the bullet speed makes those red bullets that shoots around, they go super close to you, like right after spawning, and it gives you almost no room. So, like, if you wanted to actually try to no miss no bomb that and run, you'd need to like actually kind of route it specifically so that those bullets wouldn't get in the way. Those red bullets wouldn't get so close to you. I think it could be doable, but I mean, it's not really worth it for me to mess around with yet. So I was talking about the pattern where you have to go to the top of the screen with that, some people still call
drone?
it disco ball. yeah, whatever. Drone or whatever, yeah.
I like disco ball, that's pretty cute.
Yeah, I don't know who came up with that.
I like that we have disco balls and Roombas and Katsui, it's good.
First half of the stage, you want to try and make sure to shot kill. You do actually want to shot kill these big dudes this time for sure. Well, not there because I had way too much multiplier. But because they just don't have that high of value, you'll lose a lot of score or a lot of multiplier from lock filling them. And you don't get extra multiplier from lock filling them here. Not really. Coronavirus ball, yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's got all the spikes, huh?
So, fun fact with this extend coming up, you can bomb in between the Tiger and the Panzer. You just cannot bomb either of them individually. You will see that here because I'm not really confident enough in this yet. I just bomb, and it's early enough that it goes away before the Panzer appears, and I can just safely get through that.
Yeah, there's a couple Cave 1-ups that work pretty similarly. Like in DOJ with the turret, you can bomb parts of the turret. You just can't damage the center portion of it with a bomb.
For this mid-boss, I try to lock on to this side part right after this pattern ends and be pretty aggressive with it. This is so I can kill it at a time that will let me get into a safe spot. Well, I won't be getting into the safe spot in this Ura wound, so you can see me dodge it. It was a pretty easy pattern for it. You'll see me get the safe spot in the Ura one, or the Almote one here. So confusing, sorry.
Yeah.
Another difference is that in this Ura run, or in all my Ura runs, I will delay this mid-boss kill a lot more, try to get only half of the mid-boss rush, because the mid-boss rush is... in Ura, if you get the full thing, you'll have to restream, and I don't want to bother with that. That's way too hard. In Omote, I go for the full thing, because you don't have to do any nonsense like that. Yeah, the pattern's also different for them here. You get a 3-way for the revenge bullets in the Omote one. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Only for those Skyfish, though, the ones after the mid-boss, not anywhere else. It's a very strange difference there. In the Descent, you have to manage where the suicide bullets go very precisely if you want to be able to get through it safely. I think I do a better job of that in my Omote rather than my Ura, so maybe we'll watch that for a second. I ended up welling myself in the Omote, or fuck no, but in the Omote I got them all very well.
Yeah, the descent in the loop is so scary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit!
Oh man, that was nice.
There's some safe spots that you can sit in that red pattern on the Nightmare that you can look out for, and I take advantage of those. This part is just like, what the fuck, and this is the one part where I'm like, did they think this through at all? Like, if I don't have a bomb there, I just try to flail through it, whatever. There is a good way to still score high and no miss, no bomb that part, but it's really complicated and very difficult. And when I'm just gonna bomb it every time anyway, I'm not going to remember it, so I'm not bothering with that right now. I probably won't for a very long time. If ever. Coming up on the final stretch here. The Panzers are pretty evil here. Oh. And there's so many enemies in the way that, like, you just get a bunch of bullets flying in your face. Well, I know miss some bomb it, I know, in the Omote, so we can look at that. You want to do it in a way that will get the lock-ons on that second last one very well. And I pulled it off successfully there, was able to take them out cleanly.
Yeah, nice.
Before it got too dangerous. Back near in the loop. On this first pattern, you want, if you're going to the left side of the screen, stay to the left of these red balls always. If you don't, it'll be very hard to get past them, and then the aimed bullets will just become a complete disaster. Very hard if you don't do that properly. This pattern, you can do basically the same thing every time. There's some small variance in it based on where the legs are at the start of the pattern, but it's not too big. You can do the same route every time pretty much. This pattern, you can also do the same route on every time.
Yeah, this sort of second phase when he starts moving around more dynamically, it's just, ugh.
Yeah. On this pattern, I didn't do it in this Ura run, but after this first wave, you can go super far to the left of the screen, which will guide the walls to go fairly low, and you can go over them. Maybe hard to visualize that, and maybe I didn't explain that so well, but maybe you could figure out what I mean. I don't know.
Doom!
This first pattern is very, very random. Probably the most random pattern in the game. So I can make it extremely hard to dodge. The second pattern, he lets up a bit. Not too difficult, usually. And then the blue pattern, again, very difficult. And then, again, not too bad. Goes like back and forth between ridiculous pattern and very easy pattern for a TLB anyway.
Yeah, I think that one with the kind of the curvy spirals, it looks a lot harder than it actually is.
No,
like
yeah.
it's hard to read what's going on there.
Just move left and right on that one though. This is my favorite pattern in the game, just because of like how cool it looks and how satisfying it is to dodge it. Want to position yourself kind of close to like one set of the blue bullets there for the aimed waves, so you can stream over just fine. Oh yeah, yeah. Just wait for this. This was a very, very deserved dodging routine final. Very skill. Well, some of it was skill. Some of it was not. I mean, the confidence pulled off at least, and some of them were. Well,
yeah, this is just really swag right now.
I did not.
That death right at the end. Oh no.
Well, really, I'm glad because I didn't deserve to no missile bomb that. Like that should never happen. So you know, I'm glad that happened, kind of. And it would have been so much harder to beat this run if that happened.
Yeah, that was definitely kind of absurd, but it was great to watch.
Yeah. I have no miss my bomb this boss once before, like a year ago or so. It's a bit silly though. In that final, especially.
Very nice.
Yeah, fantastic runs.
Yeah, those are some great runs.
Wow, that's.
Thank you. We would score B if it didn't evaporate. Let's see. I could figure that out. I've lost. When do I die?
Yeah, that was definitely pulling a Ketsui at the end.
It would have been a lot more than 5 or 6 mil higher. I know that for sure. It was 21.6 to 15. So that's 7. What's the multiplier difference? I lost 900. So let's see. Calculator. 900 times 5,000 is 4.5 million. I think I lost over 10 million. I don't know exactly how much. Could have been like 10 to 15.
Damn. So that could have been what, like 520?
Yeah, but I didn't deserve it, so. So I don't care. I'm not thinking about that. I'll get better eventually, but hopefully not in the way that would be as silly as that.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I still got a bit of extra score from it. If I died like instantly, I would have had a bomb a few more times, and I lost like 1 mil more maybe.
So what's next? Are you going to keep pushing Ketsui for score, or are there other games that are kind of catching your eye right now?
Well, there are kind of other games that are catching my eye, but yeah, I'm just going to continue with this. I guess the next immediate goal would be like 515 plus, which would beat Pazu's score.
Hell yeah.
Which would be the best in the West, I guess. And then 520, I guess, because it's like right around the corner from there.
Right.
The next like really big goal for me though would be 540 million a couple of reasons for that. First reason, and the main reason really, is that the highest score on the PS4 leaderboards is 537 million by SPS, so that would end up being the first on those leaderboards.
That'd be pretty cool. Put the score that beats SPS.
Yeah.
Make him come out of the woodwork some more.
Maybe. And there's 3 people who have scores in around that range. There's the 4th and 5th best players both have 541, and then the 6th highest score is 537. So that would put me, if I got at least a bit over, just a little bit over 540, it'd put me at the 4th best score for the game, which would be really great. And then there's no other people to pass for another like 30 million after that. So top 3 scorers are all completely ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely. The very, very high level for this game is kind of absurd.
Those scores can be beaten by a pretty large amount as well, given the world record. RS, who I'd say is the 2nd best player of this game. He's tried to like do optimized save states using the PS4 port, and guess what score he got after that?
I have no idea.
He ended with 651 million. And the world record currently is 583. So that kind of just goes to show how much further this game can be pushed.
Yeah, wow. I was gonna guess maybe like 610, 620, but 650 is wow.
And that can be improved more even. Like that ends with 0 bombs, and I mean, if he just like bullshitted it, like, he could end with 6 and get like 4 more mil. Now he has 655.
So that's what, like the 655 would be a no miss no bomb Ura?
No, because I mean, you get extra bombs, obviously, because you start the loop with 6 bombs, then you get 1 more in stages 2 through 5.
I see. So
you want to use those bombs in places, and there are score bomb spots that you can use them in.
Right. Okay.
Main ones would be the Last Nightmare in 2-4. This one's actually very viable to go for if you have 6 bombs there, which is very difficult, but it's doable. You can get like an extra 2 mil by bombing that final Nightmare and getting 3 extra Wyverns. And in stage 5, if you bomb the Descent Nightmare, I think you could get like a ton of extra score potentially, but I mean, if you're on no miss pace, I mean, you're probably gonna want to save your bombs if you can. So, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's more theoretical value rather than task. Task could be a good bit higher, I'm sure, like 680 plus probably.
Yeah, that's fascinating to think just how much further this game could like hypothetically be done.
On that topic, I guess, RS also has pushed Loop 1 to like a very ridiculous amount. Guess what his Loop 1 score is? His Loop 1 best?
I don't know, 270?
Well, that's very low because a lot of people have 270. But his best is 301 million.
301.
He's the only person to ever break 300 million with one. SPS's best, for reference, is 291.9, so that's 9.1 million above that. It's pushed a lot. No, there are videos of him playing, but there's he doesn't have his PBs posted. No, there is a public video that's playing as well though, which I guess I could find and link. And I mean, it shows that he's very good at the game. That run is a 1 miss. It's from few years ago, but it would have been like 286 or so. If it was no bomb. Let me find out. Can I get in the chat? It's in there somewhere. "48 minutes in."
Nice. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? Any kind of closing remarks or any other little tricks or something you want to show off before we close it out?
Tricks to show off. There's one thing I have in mind I could show off, I guess. I'm not sure about too much else to talk about, though. I'll go find it real quick. Aquos can just load it in YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because there's one strat, so.
Cool. Let me see.
I'll find it.
Oh.
Find the correct time. I don't think I'm going to use that stage 4 scorebone strat status. Sorry. I think I... Yeah. Post it.
Alright.
Tell me when you're going to show that.
Okay, I'll count us down into here. So what is this? What are we gonna look at here?
Just this nightmare here.
Oh, okay.
Strat.
From PKE strat.
Yeah, no, it is a strat actually. I found it for sure. I think it's one of the only people who uses it. Countdown?
Yeah. 1 second. Alright.
I'm not sure if I have too much to say about it, but...
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
So this is a very, very big strat and a very scary one. I'll just let it speak for itself. Maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, optimally you get 5s there, but and talking a nightmare with no bomb.
That's
It gives
scary.
a lot of score. I think it gives like 1.5 to 2 million or something. Very big, but of course very scary. The blue waves, I believe, are aimed, so he probably manipulates that in his favor and goes very specific spots.
I'm replaying.
You wouldn't really think those blue waves are aimed, but I think it's only recent. It's only recently that I realized that they are. I think, just like messing around after death or something, I realized like I went to like the top of the screen or something, and I was like, wait, those blue bullets aren't at the bottom at all. They're like only on the left of the screen. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I want to show. I think that strat is incredibly cool.
Cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. Wow. Wow. Well, fantastic work, man. And
Thank you.
Congratulations for having such a good run at Shmupmania as well.
Went very well for me. It was only 13 million off my own PB.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Wow. Yeah, congratulations.
Very close.
Well, I think that about wraps it up. So thank you very much. And thanks for everyone who tuned in. Our coverage of Shmupmania will continue. I don't have exact dates on the remaining episodes, but we are still planning to talk to Jamers for Esperade, and Moglar, you're welcome on that as well, as I've already mentioned you. and Daring Spino for Daifukatsu. So at some point in the hopefully near future, we'll have those episodes in the works.
Very nice. Okay, guys. Yep. Well, you heard them. So that'll wrap up 178.x on the Cave Shmupmania coverage. Do take care.
X.
Indeed, and happy Mother's Day, everyone, as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's also worth mentioning. I don't know if there's any
Happy
moms in
Mother-
Katsui, but maybe there probably is somewhere.
Maybe
Arson-
in one of those tanks somewhere.
Yeah, one of those
carriers, who knows? There's somewhere there.
I mean, because Doom comes out of Evacuneer, is that like?
You can maybe say Doom's the mother gives birth right at the end of the game.
I would totally
Wow.
say that, Soft Drink. That's a great observation, Soft Drink.
Doom just exploding.
It was a really terrible joke. there.
quarterback.
Sounds worthy of some fan art, perhaps.
Please no.
Oh. yeah. I want to see that.
Novus, if you're out there, fan art, please.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, good stuff, guys. We'll catch you around later. Have a good one.
Yep. Good night, all.
Goodbye.
Peace.
See ya.
Alrighty, we're up. Oh.